When I think about training nowadays, the first thing that comes to my mind is upper back. I need more upper back. I need strength. I need some muscle there. I need hypertrophy. I need strength. I need all of it, all in the upper back. In recent times, I've kind of thought about all these different exercises I could be doing to increase my back strength. When it comes to front squats, that's my number one focus right now. I don't think my legs are lacking in strength. I feel like I can push more weight. It's just that positioning that kind of lets me down. I lose integrity of that upper back. My shoulders round forward, my thoracic spine rolls forward, shoulders follow, and the bar ends up in my wrist. Wrist pain develops, and it basically is a symptom of what the first domino was, which was weak upper back. So, the more I do front squats, the more I put the volume in, the weaknesses I kind of get ironed out slowly. But I feel like I need to supplement this back weakness with other exercises. There are many, many different ways you can approach this. The other day I did snatch grip deadlifts, and that's a kind of different flavor to, a normal conventional deadlift, normal kind of grip. So I've tried that. I've tried rows recently. If I go back a few months, I've even done block pulls. Started the year, I did RDLs, very, very heavy RDLs, 5 sets of 5 at 200 kilos. Today I decided to do conventional deadlift after I did the front squat and the back squat, and I decided to push some reps. In the last 2 weeks, I want to say, in the last 2-3 weeks, I've done 180 for 10, 190 for 11 only a few days ago, and now I've done 200 for a set of 10. And each time I've done that, I feel my upper back. And it's the feeling that I need. I've spoken about what rows do, what pull-ups do, and all that sort of stuff. It also hits upper back, but it's not so much just upper back. It's what's going to carry over to a deadlift or a front squat. That's the focus right now. What's going to carry over? A deadlift is always going to carry over more than a row and a pull-up, because what I'm after is thoracic extension. In a pull-up, there's no requirement for that. Yes, you can hit your traps this way, that way, depending on your hand positioning. Same with the row. Then you can kind of add some muscle there. But it's not just muscle that I need. I need strength. I need these muscles to do something for me. And I think the muscles that I really need are those spinal erectors, not scapular depressors or scapular retractors or things like this. I don't need my arms to do anything. I just need my spine to be tall, extend. And this is where I think deadlifting is very, very valuable. Whether you're doing a Romanian deadlift, a conventional deadlift, off the floor, rack pull, you name it. Anything that challenges that thoracic extension. You basically want to resist that thoracic spine from flexing over or rounding forward. This is what happens to me when I front squat. So you can do any one of these exercises, but what I feel is that you need high reps. You need high reps. When I do singles in deadlifts, block pulls, snatch grip deadlifts, you name it, whatever, I don't feel anything. I don't feel like my weaknesses have been worked. Kind of like in my quads, right? I never feel my quads work unless I do high rep stuff. When I do high rep stuff, I feel like, okay, I've worked out my quads. When I do a normal deadlift off the floor, work up to 260, 265, whatever, never feel my upper back. Yeah, sure, there is tension through my upper back, but I feel like I can finish the deadlift off with a rounded upper back, right? It's not a limiting area to finish off a deadlift. You can literally send your shoulders completely rounded forward. You can still maintain lumbar spine integrity and have that flat. But a lot of people, I don't know how many times I've seen people, they finish their deadlift with a fully rounded over thoracic spine. Now that's fine in terms of deadlifting. That's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of what happens when you are lifting maximum weight. But is that going to carry over to the position that we need to be in for a front squat? I think the answer is no. If you continue to practice these type of positions, you're not going to have that strength, that thoracic strength that you need in a front squat. So today, when I finished the front squat and the back squat, I went out to deadlifting and I was trying to focus, sticking my chest out, kind of just imagining that I'm front squatting, but I'm not. Obviously, I'm doing a deadlift. That's what I was doing. So I was emphasizing same movement, right? We're doing the same damn movement, deadlift, but I'm emphasizing a different part of my upper back. And yeah, I was feeling it. I worked up to 240, stripped the bar back to 200, and I did a set of 10. In the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've done 180, 190, and now 200. But this time around, I was really, really focusing on kind of keeping my head up. This is not something I've done in the past. I've kind of experimented with it, but I've never kind of really driven my chin up, my head up. And it felt weird. It felt weird to kind of break the bar off the floor. It just felt like a different feeling. I almost, looking up, usually I look to the floor and I kind of have a bearing where I am and what I'm doing. When you look up, it's a weird sensation, man. Like I can't see the weights, I can't see the plates. It's a strange thing to do, but that's what I think is going to carry over most. There's a million exercises that we could be doing, but I think we need to be much more specific in what we're trying to do. There are literally thousands of exercises you can do in a gym. There's hundreds you can do for the back. There's so many different variations. But what I think, if you're concerned with performance, getting a certain thing done, you need to have, carryover, to be a concern in your mind. What are we trying to do? What's going to carry over to our front squat? So this is where we start to do the same movement. You could be doing the same movement as me, a deadlift, but I'm deadlifting with a different emphasis, right? I'm trying to keep my spine basically like a cup, like a spoon from my sacrum all the way to my neck. I just wanted to completely all kind of hyperextended in a way, right? That's kind of what I was thinking. Just fully extend the back, because that is the position that I'm going to be in the front squat. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Not yesterday's video, the video before, I kind of said, I've picked up a pattern. I feel like deadlifting, especially with this emphasis on upper back that I'm talking about, deadlifting will improve the front squat, right? Because I've said that I don't think my leg strength is a problem in the front squat. It's my back strength. And when I say back, right, we're talking about a huge surface area. What I'm talking about specifically is the upper back. And I think deadlifting, especially with that emphasis, it can improve that upper back positioning, right? It's got direct carryover. It basically does the same thing, the deadlift as the front squat, which is trying to round my shoulders over. And if I resist that force, that's going to carry over really well to my front squat. And I feel like once the front squat improves, the back squat will improve. And historically speaking, if I really focus on smashing volume into the back squat, I know my deadlifting is going to increase. So notice how there's like a cyclical kind of nature to this training, to this idea. So I'm sitting back and I'm like, okay, right now the emphasis is front squats. Of course, I need to do front squats. Of course, I need to do, heavy singles, and I need to do some volume as well, with kind of mediocre weights. But I also need to address the deadlift. I need to put some volume there, because that's going to address the weaknesses that I have, which is going to make the front squat better. So if you're thinking about that, right, you're sitting back and you're like, okay, I want to improve my deadlift. I think if you're like me, I mean, everyone's different, but this is my experience. If deadlifting was a concern for me right now, I would be doing back squats, 5x5, like heavy stuff. I've only done it a few months ago and I had really good results. I got a 265 deadlift. If I want a really good front squat, I'll do deadlifts. If I really want a good back squat, I'll do front squats. So see how it's one step behind? If I want a front squat, I'll do deadlifts. If I want a back squat, I'll do front squats. If I want to have really good deadlift, once again, I'll do back squats. So it's kind of like all kind of connected. It's just interesting how it all kind of works out. Once again, I don't know whether that's going to be something that works for you, whether you squat, low bar, belt on, high bar, your positioning or whatever. But that's been my experience. So right now I'm like hitting the front squats like crazy. Only recently I've hit 212 and a half. So that's a really good sign. That means my strength is kind of peaking now. And so front squats, That's the concern. That's the focus. And with that, I'm doing deadlifts as well. So it's kind of like, okay, why don't we do everything? Do everything at once for heaps of volume and see how you go. Theoretically speaking, that would be fantastic. I would love to do that, but recovery points become an issue. This is why a lot of people, a lot of natural athletes always talk about this. You know, you almost need to kind of pick what you want to move, what you want to improve, and then you kind of go from there. Okay, I want to improve my front squat. Okay, all the other stuff is kind of going to be not a concern. You use different variations to improve your front squat, but you're not trying to push 1 rep maxes on the other stuff. That's kind of how I feel, although some lifts are related. Some lifts are really, really related. So, you know, I mean, this is all really hard to kind of put into words and kind of conceptualize, but say I put a lot of volume into the deadlift, right? Let's just start with step 1. You do a lot of pulling, a lot of pulling. That's going to make you front squat a little bit better. That's going to address that back weakness. So if you have back weakness as an issue, your front squat is going to go up. And it's going to stop when you kind of plateau, when your upper back strength and your leg strength are kind of on the same level. Then you plateau. Okay, so now you got to maybe go back to back strength, back to leg strength, and go from there. So each time you're like every phase of training, you can sit back and be like, okay, what's holding me back from that next step? What's holding me back? You know, you can have all the leg strength in the world, man. You can keep doing your belt squats and lunges and bodyweight squats and, you know, Bulgarian split squats. You can keep smashing your legs, but if you continuously lose your upper back positioning and the bar rolls out of your hands onto the floor, that's the limiting step, man. That's what you got to address. So I'll do a lot of I'll do a lot of deadlifts. My front squats increase, and then that's directly going to increase my back squat because I've kind of addressed that weak point of my body. But if you are somebody that has leg weakness, that's your weakness, you're struggling, maybe deadlifting is not going to help you, right? So it all depends on who you are, where you are, what's weak, and addressing that weakness, or let's say identifying that weakness is also very difficult. I've spoken about this at length. It's not freaking easy, man. It is not easy to look at the lift and be like, okay, the reason my hips are shooting up is because of this. It's not obvious sometimes, man. There's so many different elements to it. There's technique breakdown. There's obviously muscle weakness. There's cueing. There's just so many things that can go wrong. And I feel like a lot of my training has been, you know, trial and error, trying some ideas to test whether my diagnosis, whether my hypothesis was correct. You know, so I had a big breakthrough earlier this year when I said to myself, okay, the focus for this year is going to be my back, just general back strength. At that time, I wasn't focusing on particularly upper back. So when I was doing those RDLs with 200 kilos, you know, I was letting my shoulders round forward. I couldn't care less. I was thinking about hamstrings and glutes, and that was my only concern. So I was doing 5x5 back then with RDLs. Now I'm doing deadlifts off the floor for a set of 10 with a full emphasis on locking up that upper back. And I had really good results. Like January, February, I had really good results. My body responded really well to that hypothesis idea and the treatment or the exercises that I kind of prescribed myself. And I had a really good result, right? All of a sudden, I started doing 180 for 5x5. I did 190 kilos for a set of 5. Like things were going really, really well. And so that kind of told me, that kind of let me know that my hypothesis, my diagnosis for my body was correct. I'm kind of beating around very, very close to the center. You know, this is where you're kind of getting closer, getting warmer to the right diagnosis. Now I'm like, okay, it seems to be back again because the front squats have highlighted something to me, and this is this upper back integrity. So if I can strengthen the upper back, obviously if you continue to do deadlifts off the floor or RDLs or whatever, everything's going to get worked. Your freaking hamstrings, glutes, your lower back, upper back, everything's going to get worked, obviously. But you need to kind of be focused to, it's not so much about the weight, it's how you approach that lift. So I'm really emphasizing this upper back. And today, I mean, you'll see, I think this is the clip. Oh no, it's just after this. So I hit 200 for 10 and I was like, okay, so this feels really good. Like my upper back was on the map. I was feeling my traps. I was feeling my lats. was feeling my whole upper back. I had this posture about me, like a silverback, sticking the chest out. So I was like, okay, let me go back to front squats and do a retest. Do you know what I mean? So I've done front squats already. I did my high volume in the deadlift, and I really want to go back to see how the bar feels. And what did I find out in that retest? Yeah. When my back is turned on, when I have a pump in my upper back and all of my back, front squatting felt easier. Isn't that interesting? So that is an indicator that my thoughts are not nuts. Like I'm not working, obviously it's very hard. Like I said, it's so hard to kind of work on or work out what's weak, what needs to be done, whatever. And I guess the last 3 years, almost 3 years of this squat every day, that's kind of been the story. If I had to summarize what I've done in the last 3 years, it's kind of been that. It's sit down, look at the lifts, look at the footage, assume some things, make a diagnosis, make a hypothesis, implement some ideas to address these weaknesses or these ideas, run it for a certain period of time, see if it feels better, if you're improving, and then go from there again. It's taken me a long time. I've made lots and lots of mistakes. This is why I'm telling you, if you are looking at your own training and you're trying to work out what's weak, it's not obvious. And you shouldn't be frustrated. This is kind of how it is. And there are so many freaking different variables out there. It's freaking hard, man. It's freaking hard to work out what's what. But for me, it seems to be keeps coming back. I mean, now we're in the middle of the year, man. Freaking hell, the time flies. But, I started off in January with the idea of RDLs. And now I'm a mid-year and I've gone back to, back strength again is the issue. I mean, that can get frustrating. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to say that can get frustrating because I'm sitting here and I'm like, what if I continue doing RDLs for 6 months straight? Now, I wouldn't have had this knowledge that I have now about the whole upper back business. But what if I just continue doing RDLs for so long, like 6 months, sets of 5, sets of 10, sets of 20, just RDLs, where would I end up? These are the ideas that frustrate me with like, what if? A lot of you guys ask me, man, do you ever wonder like if you did every other day squatting for the last 3 years, do you ever wonder if you would be better? Of course, man. Of course. A few days ago, I had a video that was titled, I think, Save Game or something like this. I wish I could, save my life right now, load up a previous point in my life and replay with the knowledge that I have right now back then and just could, rinse and repeat. I would love to run an experiment like that and really find out what works for me, what doesn't. But that's all part of it. And this is why I always say to you guys, if you are intellectually, stimulated, interested in this, then it's not going to be a problem. It's not going to be a problem because you always learn something. Whether you screw up a month of training or two or not, you're always going to get something out of it. Or you might not be numbers on the bar, but you're going to learn something about your body. You're going to learn something about the process of training, what different variables mean, what different aspects of training, what it all means. And this is kind of what I always say to you guys. It's like, it's almost like you are blind or you're in pitch black environment and you're kind of feeling your way out of a cave or something like this, and you're kind of like feeling your way. You might continuously come back to the same spot, but after 1,000 freaking loops around this cave, you're going to start to develop a picture in your mind. Okay, the cave looks like this, even though you can't see anything. Because you've been around and you've kind of felt the same damn thing 1,000 times, you start to develop an understanding of what's going on. And this is kind of what I feel like. For me, for whatever reason, anytime I do back work, I feel good. And it's some of these exercises that expose us, like front squats. Man, it is such a, it's such an obvious thing for me. Why am I failing in front squat? Why did that 180 drop? When you look at it, and the first time I looked at it, I was like, I don't have enough quad strength. But I can squat, I can squat 210, 212. I can squat that, so I feel like the quads are there. The legs are there. It's just that, I don't know, I was leaning over a little bit. The moment I feel my shoulders round, then that puts pressure in all, like it puts the weight in my hands, and I'm like, damn, I can't stay upright. Now you could say to yourself, the reason why you fell forward is because you're trying to use your glutes more, you're trying to engage your posterior chain more, and that's why you went forward, because you didn't have that quad strength to just go up and down. You could also think about it that way. This is where it gets really complicated. I mean, right now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to have a focus on the bodyweight squats, the high rep training. I think that has done wonders to me. Like, I feel fantastic. I feel fitter. I have better conditioning. So that's great. But I feel like I need some upper back training. I need upper back training, and so I'll be doing continuously experimenting different ideas like snatch, grip, deadlifts, maybe even rack pulls or something. But the emphasis is going to be to get into a position like I would be in a front squat and just really fight it. Fight that thoracic extension, fight that thoracic flexion from happening, resist it, as hard as I can. And certainly today's little retest, after the deadlifts, I felt like I was in better positions. Like, I felt like, okay, the right muscles are on. I have a mind-muscle connection with these upper back, like thoracic extensors, and I felt like it was easier to go up and down in the front squat. It's just interesting. It's freaking interesting to go through the process of trying to work all this out. But it's hard to sit here and be like, oh, it's the quads or it's the upper back. Obviously, it's both. Those are the two things involved in this fight in the front squat. You need lots of quad strength, and you need lots of upper back strength. What do you need more? So obviously, we're going to do the front squat. That's the focus. We're going to do a lot of that, a lot of volume in that. But what is going to be the number one accessory after that? For me, I feel as though upper back is a problem to me, because for each of those 170, 175, and the 180 attempt, I felt my back just completely just gives out. Just gives out, and I'm always kind of, in the concentric portion of the lift with like fully rounded shoulders. It seems like I'm just resting on my wrist, and that's not a good feeling. There's 3 names I want to mention in this video. 3 fellas who have come onto the Patreon list: Edmund Huang, Carl McDonald, and Chris Roy. Fellas, this means a lot. It really, really means a lot to have your support. It's a special feeling. Really, I feel like I'm blessed. And it never gets old to me to see names pop up on the screen. Like, literally, I woke up from a night shift this morning, looked at the phone, and I can see the messages. And I'm like, wow, man, there are dudes somewhere in the world who appreciate what I do, who relate to my experience. And that's a really cool feeling. It makes you feel like you're not alone. It makes you feel like lots of people are in the same battle of trying to work out the puzzle. And it's just a really cool feeling. So I really appreciate you fellas for joining all the others on the list. So thank you for that. Thank you everyone in the comments as well for suggesting your ideas, sharing your experiences. Haven't had a lot of time in the last few days to get to you guys, but next few days I'll definitely try and catch up. Anyway, guys, long video again. I feel like I could talk freaking for hours. If you stay for this long, appreciate you. Long chat. Anyway, let's wrap this up. I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the next one. Appreciate you. Peace out.